For me, a significant finding from the work of Reg Revans was the recognition that we should be less preoccupied with seeking to define a generic model of leadership or management or organisational development, but for facilitators of learning, our attention should focus really on helping people to address real world problems from the ground up. And I refer to this model of ground and sky. So on the ground we have real world problems or challenges. These could be about, for instance, reducing costs, introducing new technologies, motivating staff, achieving more efficiencies. And of course, in the sky, there are a number of supposed experts or people, published authors, consultants, those who would claim to have some understanding of how such problems might be tackled. The challenge for an action learner and for a facilitator of action learning is to help people to start by first defining their problem on the ground and then reaching to the sky in order to identify what knowledge that is out there could actually help inform my decision making and the actions that I need to take. A key dimension in terms of action learning is the requirement to take action. Professor Reg Revans differentiated between the concept of organisational puzzles and problems. So a puzzle may be a challenge where there is a known way of resolving it. It may be to do with, say, implementation of a procedure or a policy or application of a certain technique. And of course, a training program or a course could actually help develop an individual's capability in order to address such puzzles. However, often what we face in an organisational context, certainly at a professional management and leadership level, are problems. Problems are ill-defined, they are often messy in that they are political and they cannot be resolved necessarily quickly and easily. An example might be the problem of how do I motivate my team to become more productive? How do I introduce new technologies into the organisation? Or how do I implement some of the big strategic challenges that we face? Such problems are not necessarily resolved most effectively by sending people on a training course. However, this is where action learning has a role to play. And by bringing people together in action learning sets in order to work with and learn from each other in addressing such problems, often significant breakthroughs can be achieved. This means a different role for the facilitator of learning, who is, in this context, not so much a trainer imparting expertise or knowledge around certain techniques or methods, but this person has to behave as a facilitator, supporting the problem-solving process and, in fact, encouraging members of the learning set to operate in an action learning way, to ask insightful and effective questions, and to ensure that they follow up their good intentions in terms of action beyond just the off-job learning set meetings. So the facilitator of learning is interested in learning over a period of time rather than just concerned with delivery during the time that an individual is on a training course as such. I believe that for action learning to work in a modern organisation, there is a need to create a system around the process. The focus should always be on improvement of the organisation, so organisational development. This should be related in some way to the organisational strategy. But the process or system which I have worked with over the last 12 years has been one that we refer to generically as action learning questions. So an organisational or a business related problem is actually reframed and defined as a question, an action learning question. This is typically a question that can be addressed over approximately a 3-month period with the support of a sponsor for the question, the question holder or problem holder, who also works with an action learning set, a group of people, maybe around 5 to 8 people, who will meet regularly and share each other's action learning question. This is then defined and scoped in the early stages of addressing it. So the defining of the question is in itself an important part of the process and involves meeting with key stakeholders within an organisation to gain their interpretation or understanding of the nature of the question. The question is then tackled through a process of a certain amount of research. This could be Sky-based research where one reads around the subject or uses a process that I call knowledge mapping in order to try and map and define the areas of knowledge which are relevant to the question. So it could involve research based around reading or indeed may involve ground-based research conducted in the organisation through, for instance, the application of surveys, interviews, focus groups, all sorts of methods that can be applied in order to address and understand better and ultimately seek to not necessarily solve a problem as such, but to at least improve the situation and bring about some improvement. Off the back of course, the problem-solving process of addressing the real-world organisational problem by framing it as a question, should come some learning. Learning, of course, for the individual who is tackling the action learning question, and quite often significant learning for other people in the organisation. A key feature of the action learning question approach has been the use of accreditation leading to professional and academic qualifications. So we found that by an individual tackling an action learning question over typically a 3 to 4 month period, that this will lead to a significant body of work and research and to some extent academic study which is worthy of accreditation, and this has been recognised by a number of business schools and universities and can lead to credits which can be accumulated over a period of time if a person is to tackle a number of action learning questions. So this has led in some cases to the completion of an entire master's degree qualification, and through International Management Centres Association Business School we are able to offer accreditation at both master's and at doctoral level using this methodology.